Everything you've been told about procrastination is wrong. They say, just do it. Find your why. Use discipline. But if any of that worked, you wouldn't still be here, would you? You sit down to start, coffee in hand, clean plan, maybe even a little excitement. But then it hits that wave of resistance, the boredom, the pressure, the feeling, oh, not this again. And that's not laziness, that's emotional friction. The invisible drag between wanting to start and actually doing it. Motivation hits like caffeine. Quick rush, fast crash. You cannot discipline your way out of emotional friction because you're not stuck on a task. You're reacting to how it feels to start it. The real question isn't how do I get motivated? It is what am I trying to avoid right now? Once you understand that, everything about procrastination starts to make sense. And more importantly, you can finally do something about it. Let's begin. So, what exactly is emotional friction? It's the emotional cause your brain predicts before you even start. The difficulty of the task doesn't matter. What matters is how it makes you feel. And your brain runs this cost benefit analysis in milliseconds without you even noticing. It's that tiny voice in your head, the sudden urge to check your phone, make another coffee, suddenly reorganize your desk, or do literally everything but not start the task. And those emotions come in predictable patterns. There are some of them: boredom, this will drain my soul; anxiety, what if I fail? What if I do it wrong? Overwhelm, it's too big. I don't even know where to start. Shame, I should have done this already. Confusion, I don't know what to do first. Different emotions, but they all create the same result. You do not start. So let me show you what it looks like in real life. Going to the gym. You're not avoiding going to the gym itself. You're anticipating the physical discomfort. Starting a work project. It's not the work, it's the fear of judgment or fear of doing something wrong. Cleaning your room. It's boredom with overwhelm. Where do I even start? Making a phone call. Social anxiety, the anticipation of awkwardness. You're not resistant to the task itself, you're resistant to how starting it feels. So, why does your brain do that? Because your brain has one primary function: keep you alive, keep you safe. And to do that, it needs to conserve energy and avoid threats. When you try to start something, especially something new or uncertain, your brain reads negative emotion as potential threat signal. Starting equals uncertainty, which activates your amygdala, your brain's alarm system. It worked great thousands of years ago, but it's terrible for modern productivity. And here's another problem: your brain constantly overestimates how the task will feel. The anticipation is always worse than reality. You're suffering more from avoiding the thing than you would from actually doing it. But your brain doesn't know that until you start. So you're just stuck in avoidance. And let me tell you why motivation doesn't work here neither. Motivation is just one emotion trying to override another emotion. It's a temporary fuel trying to fight against the permanent system. You feel this all the time. Sunday night, you're excited, you're planning your week, setting your alarm early, telling yourself, tomorrow I'll start fresh. But Monday morning hits, the alarm goes off, and the motivation? Gone. You hit snooze because the version of you lying in bed right now isn't feeling what the version of you felt yesterday. That's why motivation fades exactly the moment when you need it most. It doesn't transfer across context. You can't rely on feeling differently in the moment. So let's talk about why common advice often fail. Just do it. Ignores the emotional component completely. It's like telling someone with a phobia to stop being scared. Willpower is a finite resource. You can force yourself for a while, but eventually it runs out. Find your why sounds very inspiring, but here's the truth: your big purpose doesn't change how starting feels in this specific moment. Knowing why you want something doesn't necessarily make the first step feel easier. Big picture motivation cannot override what you're feeling right now in this moment. And use discipline. You're just fighting against your biology every single day. It works, but it's exhausting and unsustainable. You end up in a constant battle with yourself instead of actually doing the work. So if those doesn't work, then what does? The answer is counterintuitive. Instead of fighting the emotion, you work with it. You lower the friction instead of trying to power through it. So here are top 4 strategies that changed everything for me. First strategy, ask yourself, what emotion am I trying to avoid right now? Is it boredom, anxiety, overwhelm, fatigue? Just naming it reduces its power. That's actual neuroscience behind it. It's called affect labeling. When you name the emotion, your prefrontal cortex activates and your amygdala calms down. For example, you can say, I'm avoiding this because I'm afraid it will be boring. Just by naming it, you can drop the resistance from 30 to 40%. Strategy 2. Shrink to start. Big tasks create high friction. Tiny tasks create low friction. Don't say workout. Just say put on gym shoes. Don't write the report. Just open the document. Your brain cannot detect threat in something tiny. And here's what happens next. Once you start, the momentum takes over. The hardest part is always the first step. Once in motion, continuing is easy. Strategy 3. Make decisions when you're not in a friction moment. On Sunday night, decide on what you'll do Monday morning. Decide not only what you're going to do, but also when you're going to do that. Put it on your calendar. Monday, 9 a.m. Start the report. When the time hits, you don't debate. You just start. Remove the negotiation when you're tired or resistant, because tired you makes horrible decisions. Clear-headed and motivated you makes way better choices. You're not asking, do I feel like doing it? Because the decision has already been made. The time arrived, so you just begin. And here's strategy 4. Give yourself permission to stop after 2 or 5 minutes. Tell yourself, I'm just starting, I'm not committing to finishing it. This lowers the emotional stakes dramatically. You're not signing up for the whole marathon, just for the first step. And here's what's interesting. 90% of the time, once you start, you'll just keep going. So what happens when you actually apply those? Starting stops feeling like a battle. You stop relying on motivation because you don't need it anymore. Tasks begin to feel natural instead of threatening. You build evidence over and over again that starting is not dangerous. Your brain's prediction system recalibrates. It stops overestimating how bad the task would feel. And within 2 or 3 weeks, that friction naturally decreases. It becomes automatic. You're not pushing through resistance anymore. You're just starting. Like, it's the most natural thing in the world. The next time you can't start, don't ask yourself, why am I so lazy? Ask yourself, what feeling am I trying to avoid right now? Name it. Shrink the task. Just start. That's how you beat the emotional friction. And honestly, that's the entire reason why I started building Flowdora. I needed to stop the app switching because it was adding even more emotional friction. That's the whole principle. Remove the friction, make starting feel easy. Most days, one small move is all you need. If you found any of this useful, hit like and subscribe. We're building a community of people who work with their minds, not against them. And I'll see you next Monday.